what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy it. But look, I want to start by really, and y'all are just going to have to get used to it. Y'all are going to say, wow, what an off-season segment, right? But because I'm about to talk about LSU football. But it's just on my heart. It's just on my heart this morning. And it's because ESPN released their way too early All-American team for 2025. And LSU ends up with two names on there. I think, interestingly, they're not the names that you would maybe think, right? No Garrett Nussmeier on that list, despite the fact that he opened first or second on almost every single Heisman odds list from the various sportsbook. No Trades Green on that list, which is maybe less surprising. However, I thought, with his raw physical potential and the bowl game that he had and look at him coming back for another year in a bigger role with no Mason Taylor, that maybe he would be on that list. But no, the two names, no Aaron Anderson either. The two names that find their way to the list are the transfer from Oklahoma, Nick Anderson, and the returner and wide receiver from Kentucky, Barion Brown. And why we are going to highlight this, guys, is because I want to start the hype train now. And the theme of this entire offseason will be not shying away from expectations and what the expectations should be based on how the team is on paper. And I will continue to say, if you don't make it next year to the playoffs and contend for a championship, then I will never give you the benefit of the doubt that you will, because this team looks awesome. Think about that. You're returning a ton of guys offensively, and the two that get named to the All-American team are guys you added out of the portal. Nick Anderson coming in as a second-team All-American wide receiver. He was hurt all of last year, essentially, but as a freshman, 798 yards, 10 touchdowns, over 20 yards a catch, 6'4", massive body. Now, for Nick Anderson to reach his full potential, my hope is that in this offseason, him and Nuss, and really everybody, but especially maybe him, are just grinding routes, grinding timing, grinding chemistry. Because when you think about Garrett Nussmeier, he is a quarterback that his greatest trait is his anticipation and his trust. And look at the guys that he would go to last year. It's the guys that he trusts. So you have one offseason to build that up. Here's to hoping that Nuss and Anderson are spending a lot of time in that lab and he can meet that full potential. As far as Barion Brown goes, he's the first-team All-American kick returner. That's not even getting into Xavier Thomas, who's coming with a big kick return touchdown finally at the end of the year, but really was solid throughout the year. So now you're just getting better where you were already really good and with the best. I mean, how could he not be the first-team All-American returner? He averages 30 yards a kick return. He has the SEC record and leads all active players with 5 kick return touchdowns. Okay? Oh, yeah, guess what? He's also pretty damn good offensively as well. So now you add these two weapons to receiving group. That includes Aaron Anderson, who was awesome throughout last year. And if he would take even half of the step that he took from year 1 to year 2, that's getting into All-American territory. You have Chris Hilton, who fought through injury for much of the year and then ended on the most positive note that you could, showing that this is a guy who literally changes L's into wins. If Chris Hilton plays like he played the last couple of games the entire year, you probably make the playoff. You have Xavier Thomas. You got Trades Green. 6'7", 250, just an absolute red zone monster. Finished incredibly strong to the season himself, and will be relied upon even more next season. And that's not even touching on guys like Bauer Sharp. In the backfield, you got Caden Durham, a man who turned down millions of dollars from Oregon in the offseason. You got Harlem Berry, JT Lindsey. Like, as long as this offensive line holds up, which I think they will, I don't think they'll be quite as good in areas, but they could be better in others. But as long as they hold up, this offense will be unstoppable. And that's not even getting into the next generation, like maybe Kyle Parker, Jelani Watkins. It's actually insane how good this offense could be. Massive pressure on Joe Sloan to be able to take advantage of all of these weapons and put together an offense that can, it's, what did they say in 2019? Everybody eats, everybody feasts, something along those lines. It's incredibly hard to do. It's an impossible bar to live up to, but it's what you should strive for. It's what you should aim for. Who could ever forget? Did y'all have this poster in your 7th grade science class? I'll never forget it. It said, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Now, my older age, I realized that, frankly, untrue. The moon is way closer than the stars. You're end up dying way before you would ever return. That's not the point, though. Okay, the metaphor there is, maybe you're not going to live up to that 19 billion, of course, because how could you? It's impossible. But make that your goal. Everybody eats, and see where you land. Now, you may be asking yourself, Garrett Nussmeier, you said he's at the top of the Heisman list. Why is he on the All-American team? Well, they named Cade Klubnik first team All-American and Arch Manning second team. And I think understandable on both counts. Now, granted, I think Arch is capable, but I think it's a lot of pressure for a first-year starter that he's having to deal with. That is a large burden. Now, if anybody's shoulders can handle it, are those broad Manning quarterback shoulders. But again, it is his first year starting. As far as Klubnik goes, let's just go ahead and continue to build up the hype for week 1. Because Klubnik, who showed great growth last year, the receivers really came on at the end. Go watch the Texas-Clemson playoff game. Understand how good the Texas secondary is. And then watch what those freshman receivers and Klubnik were doing to him at points in that game. You got a great challenge if you're this LSU defense. And if you're Nussmeier in this offense, you better be ready week 1 because it is going to be a duel, a quarterback duel. And will potentially decide almost the entire season. The hype for this LSU Clemson game is going to reach a fever pitch unseen, I would say, likely since Oregon. I mean, look, don't get me wrong, the FSU games were a big deal. The USC game, big brands, but I don't think any of them, or at least, I guess FSU ended up featuring the talent, even though we didn't know the time. But this is going to be an elite opening game with Clemson and Cade Klubnik and Garrett Nussmeier and all the weapons on both, everybody going toe-to-toe, and so much on the line for both coaches. So the offseason begins today, and it's a very important spring coming up for this LSU football team to start to develop these weapons. And as I said, get chemistry and trust. That word is going to be critical for Anderson, Sharp, any of these new guys, Barion. Get that trust by Garrett Nussmeier. And the only way that trust comes is with reps. Just reps, man. Hard-earned reps when nobody's watching. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.